Our webinar is a 45-minute session. It will cover from RFE step for responding to USCIS requests and how the school supports it. The second will be day one CPT tips, avoid common application mistakes. And last but not least, employer requirements for CPT approval. And after that, we'll go to the live Q&A with our PDSO today. And if you want a free consultation or apply to the school without paying the application fee, here we are. Just scan the QR code and we'll get you covered. So let's keep going. About us, so who we are as the hosting company now, we are Go Elite. We're located in Los Angeles, specifically Pasadena. Your success is our mission. Our services are not really limited to this, but majorly day one CPT University application, F1 reinstatement or emergency transfer, change of status application. So if you're in need in any of this area, feel free to, again, scan the code and let us know. Our mission and vision is really to make students' American dreams come true. And our vision really spawned from that mission on top. So we really aim to prioritize the students' interest first. So we're certified by AIRC, which is American International Recruitment Council, and we are the sixth organization certified by them. And half of the team is also at AIRC for this year. So if you have the chance to stop by, make sure you say hi to them. So some important item and program we just launched, it's our rewards program. We're trying to build a Day One CPT community. So far, it's available for all of our students enrolled at the schools. You can just log in with your Westcliff's email, and then you can get access to all these amazing cashback opportunity, really. So each of the rewards point equals to $1 and look at just how many dollars you can collect from us for your Day One CPT experience. You can use your points to redeem into many different gift cards, and from Visa prepaid card to Amazon gift card, even Starbucks. And we support your application process and foster a community to help students balance studies and daily life. You can also join the rewards program. Again, you need to sign up with your school email. So make sure you ask me for the link or ask your advisor at Go Elite for the link once you get admitted or get enrolled. And we also have this project benefiting all incoming or existing F1 students. It's called White Book. It used to be Red Book. So if you see two names, it's kind of because we rebranded them a little bit. So you can discover from visa application to how to access healthcare to how to secure a job. So everything you need to know about your study here in the US, the experience will be explained in the book. If you find anything you're curious about but not explained, let us know. We'll be more than happy to add to it. So we're also on Google Map, of course. Probably we're really rated by more than 500 of our clients for 5.0. So I don't believe it's 100% 5.0. It's still a very fair rated scores if you look through it. And so if you want to connect with us, we are also on social media platforms. Again, if you want a free consultation, you can always scan our QR code. So let me stop share for now. I'll have our Westcliff team take over from now, and let me share screen for the slide. Hold on one second. So I hope everyone's able to see my slide, and Rima, whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Thank you, Alice, and thank you for the introduction. Just a little bit about me. So I am also an international student. I moved to the US from India about 2 years ago, and I've been working with the international outreach team for almost a year and a half. And it's been an incredible experience, not just as a student, but also working with the university. So I feel very attached to the students when they come in on this journey, and you're starting off, you're trying to figure out what university really works for you. And I'm going to share a few things about why the university worked for me and what really are the key points and the key takeaways for us from this webinar today. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. This is not an AI generated image. It looks too real, too good to be true, but this is our main campus. We are in Irvine, California. We're on the 4th floor of this particular office. Okay, Alice, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. Like I mentioned, our main campus is in Irvine, California, and our additional campuses are in Los Angeles, Miami, and in Florida. So students can choose if you want to be like in the East Coast, or if you prefer being in the West Coast, you can choose from our multiple campuses. Okay. Our main accreditations are VASC, SHIA, and ACBSP. These are accreditations which are regional as well as global accreditations. If you want to read up more about our accreditations, you can definitely see that on our website. California Dreaming. This is basically just a snapshot and a little bit about the location of where we are. So Irvine, California is basically about 20 minutes from Disneyland and about 45 minutes from Los Angeles and San Diego. So we're very centrally located, and Irvine has been awarded the safest city in America almost 3 times. I think this was a very big factor for me specifically when I came in, because my parents were like, hey, are you going to a safe city or not? Right? So I know that this is an important aspect, especially when it comes to, your parents wanting to know where you're going and if you're going to a safe area. So I want to point out that Irvine is definitely a very safe space for people to come in from international countries. The other cool factor is that we are close to offices like Facebook, Google, and Tesla. What this does is it gives you exposure in terms of finding the right kind of job opportunities once you have graduated. Okay, our Santa Monica campus is also at a very great location. As you can see, we're in Santa Monica, which is very centrally located. There are specific courses that are available in this campus, so please reach out to the GoElite team to see if those courses are available on the Santa Monica campus as well. A couple of facts about Westcliff University. As of 2024, we have 5,380 students enrolled, 103 different nationalities. We're very proud of the fact that we have a very diverse population of students. What this really does is you do feel very inclusive in the whole journey that you're going to have as a student. Alice, can you go back to the previous slide, please? Thank you. Sorry for that. A 10:1 student faculty ratio, which basically means that you will be interacting with your professor at a very one-on-one level. This really helps in building the right kind of equations with your professors, and also for like possible like job opportunities. So I really look at this as a networking opportunity for with your peers and with your professors. A 92% graduation rate, and 85% of those graduate students do get job placements after graduation. So very high statistics and numbers overall to look at. Next slide. Thank you. For our main programs for masters and doctorates, everything that you see in yellow is the main degree, and everything that's listed in white are the concentrations. Everything that's denoted with a S are the STEM courses. These STEM courses, of course, are the main focus for a lot of our international students, because it gives you an extended time period for OPT, and Josh will talk more about it as we go forward. Basically focusing, our main focus is on a lot of STEM courses for master's and doctorate programs. We have two course formats. One is the professional format and one is the on-campus regular format. The on-campus regular format is basically a weekly class which happens for 3 hours. This is all programs are available in Irvine, and for the Los Angeles campus, we have the MBA and the DBA program. For our professional format, we have something called as an asynchronous schedule, which is basically 1 weekend residency or semester that you complete within 3 full days of class time. Now, these courses are specific to, of course, which campus you're choosing. So read more about it or speak to the GoElite team and they can share more details with you. In terms of classwork, for all our formats, we have something called as a DQ, which is a discussion question. This is basically for you to have interactions with your peers and have certain posts that go in on Thursdays, and then you will be responding to your peers, and those responses need to be accounted by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. Apart from the discussion questions, you also will have projects and papers. These papers have to be formatted in an APA format, and citations are required. And projects and papers may require certain kind of group work. What I actually truly enjoyed during my class time was the fact that it was a lot of interaction with your peers. When you're working on group projects, you're learning together, you're learning about different industries, you're learning about different real-time problems. So that really helps in building your overall journey in terms of being a good team leader, being a good team member, and also kind of learning from others, learnings from other industries that people come in from. Now, how to apply? The process is pretty simple. You will simply reach out to the Go Elite team for your application process. For the requirements, Alice, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Make sure that you have your passport and your diploma and your transcripts. The requirements for undergraduate for diploma is 2.0. For graduates, it's 2.5 GPA. For English proficiency, we have several English proficiency that we do accept. So you're not limited to just TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo. Again, the GoEli team can, of course, give you more details on all of our English exams that are accepted. We do accept MOI letters. So if you do not have English proficiency, you can still apply as long as you've done your education in English and you can present MOI letters. We also have a real pathway program, which is an English communication pathway program. This will basically accelerate your journey if you have lower English proficiency, and if you need to go into an undergraduate or graduate role, you can take the pathway program and then transition seamlessly into an undergraduate or graduate role. We do not require GRE, GMAT, and SAT. So again, that's a very time-consuming process to get those scores, and we don't require that. So it's a much easier process for a lot of international students. Tuition fees. So for our annual cost for international students, for bachelors, the pricing is at 17,520. For masters, it is at 14,742. And for doctorate, it's at 15,858. A lot of accelerated programs are available. What that basically means that, for example, a master's student does not want to take 2 years to complete their courses. They can take multiple programs and multiple courses, and they can finish their 2-year program in a much lesser time. Okay, and students are also available to take like semester breaks after they complete their first year of full-time study, and program duration and living expenses, of course, will get affected based on how you plan to finish your entire degree. Monthly payment plans are available. I think this is extremely helpful, so you do not have to look at paying all of the amount at one go. You can pay it in monthly installments or even semester wise. The rough housing and living cost in Irvine, California comes to in the range of between $800 to $1,200 per month. Now, very important, scholarships and grants. I highly recommend students to make a separate application for the scholarships and grants. The process is very simple. You will simply identify first what scholarship really resonates with you. You will draft an essay that is with the prompt, which is on the website. Once you've drafted your essay, attach additional documents like letter of recommendation, resumes, any kind of awards and certificates that you may have won, and make the application on the website separately. Now, what I really recommend doing in this process is go through the different scholarship options that are available and choose what really resonates with you maximum when you are reading the prompt. Okay, and make the application, because a lot of the scholarships are on a rotating basis, so they will be available even when you are enrolled in the program. You can apply for scholarships. CPT. We're going to dive deeply into CPT in this particular webinar as well, once Josh is going to be talking about CPT and OPT. But just to tell you a little bit about CPT. So CPT is curricular practical training, which means that when you are studying with the university, you are eligible to also work. For master's, doctorate students, you are eligible for day 1 CPT, and for undergraduate students, you are eligible for CPT after you complete the first year. So what is the requirement, or what is the process, and what it really means? So basically, you need to be approved by the university DSO for a 12-month duration for your CPT. During the program, you will need to take an additional credit, which means that you will be studying one additional course, and it must be related to your degree. So you must make sure that whatever job opportunity you pick up, it is related to what you are studying. This is the requirement by USCIS, and once you finish that, you can either enroll into a full-time or a part-time CPT. A full-time CPT is basically more than 20 hours per week, and a part-time CPT is 20 or less hours per week. If you have, of course, if you have any questions on CPT and OPT, please put it in the chat. This is the right time to ask the questions because we have the team that's going to be talking more about CPT and OPT as we go forward. Okay, now what the admission timeline actually looks like for an active F1 student. Step 1 is you're going to make the application. Please reach out to the GoElite team to help you with the application. They will do the process for you. Attach all the documents that might be needed. Once you've done that, an admission advisor will be assigned to you. So every student gets assigned an admission advisor, and you will be given access to an application portal. So what this application portal does is it gives you an overview on all the documents that you've submitted. Anything that's pending, whatever is required from the student will clearly be mentioned on the portal. After the application process, we dive into the second stage, which is the admissions process, where you will submit all the required documents. Transcript evaluation department team will come back to you, hopefully with an acceptance letter. Once you receive the acceptance letter, you will attend an advising session and you will get to know more about the process and in terms of what is required for the I-20 stage. In the I-20 stage, you will complete an I-20 request form. This is extremely important. Please do not forget this step. While you are completing the request form, attach all the documents like bank statements, sponsor documents, or any documents that are required for your dependents. Once you've completed that, you will receive a digital I-20. Once you've received a digital I-20, if you need to do any kind of SEVIS transfer, that will get action. For that, you will need to refer to your previous institution for all the transfer related process that might be needed. Make sure that you remember that the SEVIS records need to be submitted about a week prior to your start date. So make sure that you're keeping that deadline in mind while you're doing the SEVIS transfer. Okay, then coming to the enrollment stage, which is basically once you've got all your documents and everything in place, you will get the registration forms, you will submit a tuition deposit, and you will register for your CPT if that's applicable to you, and you will communicate with your student service advisor for any class schedules and any academic counseling that you might need. Then comes in the final stage where we encourage you to attend a NSO, which is a new student orientation workshop, which will basically give you more details on what your class timing is, on if you need to change any schedule or any kind of details that you might need further in terms of your class. And this happens 2 weeks prior to the start date of the program. A quick snapshot on why choose Westcliff. Number one, affordable tuition. So payment plans are available. Scholarships for international students are available. Our location is an attractive location, which is Irvine has been awarded the safest city in America. It's also been awarded as the best place to live in California. We have multiple campuses that you can choose from. We have work opportunities for CPT and OPT, which is for OPT, you can get up to 36 months after graduation. So feel free to look at those options. For flexibility, we have 6 start dates. So whenever you're ready for your application, feel free to, go ahead and apply. We have accelerated programs that are available. No GRE, GMAT, and SAT scores are needed. And either you can do the course on campus or in the professional format. Now we're going to show you a quick video, Alice, of the campus. There's no audio, but it's okay.
Were you able to hear it? I can't hear my sound. Hold on a second. Share computer sound. All right, here we go. So this is basically our main campus, which is our Irvine campus, and now we've proved that this is a real campus. Alice, you can go to the next slide, please. Sorry about that. Let me try.
No worries.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Perfect. Now I'm going to cue it to Josh, who is our DSO. He is from the International Affairs team, and he will tell you more about CPT, OPT, RFEs, everything that you need to know as an international active student. Over to you, Josh.
Well, thank you for that, Rima. I don't know if this could be everything, but I can certainly do my best to get it started. Hello everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Josh Schoonover. I'm the Director of International Affairs and the PDSO here at Westcliff University. I've been here since 2016. Been fortunate to be a part of some really rapid growth with the university. When I started here, we had 3 classrooms, and now we have 23 and we're bursting out the seams. So it's been a fun journey. I've been a professor in the College of Education since 2018, and a student in the Doctorate of Business Administration program since 2020. So I like to say I have my hand in like lots of different facets of Westcliff, which is great because, if you have questions, there's a good chance I either know the answer or know who to get you over to. But for now, we can go ahead and skip to the next slide, Alice, and we'll kind of get into the questions that were posed to me beforehand, the things that people are really interested in. So don't mind me, also being there in the picture. I moonlight as a model for Westcliff, so sometimes I'm a part of our media days too. But yeah, so we'll start talking about RFEs and then we'll get into CPT. I know that that's a big topic of interest for a lot of international students. So an RFE, it stands for a request for evidence. And this is something that USCIS sends for people when they apply for an additional benefit, such as optional practical training after they graduate from their program of study, or maybe when they apply for the STEM OPT extension. It can happen at the green card level, at the H-1B application level. And one of the big misconceptions around RFEs is that it means that your application is going to get denied. Like, oh my gosh, I have an RFE. They're taking a look at my application. They're about to deny me. What's going on here? But the truth of the matter is, 82% of students who get an RFE, their application is ultimately approved. So it's not a death sentence, to use a morbid example, but rather it's a matter of uh, the U.S. government can be very black and white, and they need things spelled out for them very specifically. So even though we think that we might be very clear about something, they might need like literally a sentence saying that specific thing. And so the RFE is them saying, "Oh, we need clarity on points X, Y, and Z." And then it's our opportunity to respond to that. And like I said, 82% of RFEs do ultimately get approved. But here at Westcliff, we go above and beyond, and we've actually achieved an 88% approval rating. Now, there's never going to be a 100% RFE approval rate, just because some things are out of our control. Some things it's, maybe things going on at the governmental level. But we're very proud of the fact that we have a above average and above median approval rate. So if you find yourself in the position where you get an RFE, and I know this is something that is a student concern when they start CPT at the beginning of their program, right? Well, starting CPT right away is a fantastic benefit, and it's a way for me to start gaining work experience and start developing those relationships with the employers so that, maybe they'll consider sponsoring me for the H-1B application. But then students wonder if it's worth it because they might get an RFE about it. And that might be the case, but again, it's just a matter of USCIS has some questions. We have a very thorough response process. So what students do for us if they do get that RFE, we have an RFE request form that's available on our Westcliff University Forms website. The screenshot that we have here actually shows that there's a lot of information that can be gathered independent of international affairs, depending on what specifically the RFE is asking for. And that's something that that comes into play because like students have different situations, and so RFEs are different depending on the student and depending on the case. But sometimes they want a copy of your student ID card. And so you see point 2 there, if you didn't get a student ID card or maybe you lost it, you can request an additional one through administrative support at westcliff.edu. Or maybe they want a copy of your official transcripts. The link's there also. But obviously, some of it is going to come from international affairs. And so so basically what would happen is you go on the form, you look at this. This is the first page. You go, okay, my RFP is asking for this, this, and this. Okay, I can ask for those from these departments. Now let me come back. I'll fill out the remainder of this form so that then the International Affairs Department can issue that letter of support. Now, the processing time is 7 to 10 business days. Business days are different than calendar days because it doesn't take into account weekends and holidays. So a good, kind of way to think about this is give us about 2 weeks after you submit in order to get that response. And believe me, we understand when you have an application like this pending, every hour seems like an eternity, but we really do take the time to sink into every single one, look at the individual request, and draft that response, and that does take us some time. Now you're not going to be late applying to or responding to your RFE based on this time frame because typically they give you 60 to 90 days to reply. So when you do get that RFE, let us know right away. Go fill out that response form, and then we can go ahead and get working on filling out our part of that for you. And then obviously, if you wanted to meet with an international student advisor about that as well, we're more than happy to make an appointment and meet with you about that. But we do need the form filled out in order to start responding to it because again, we want the document in front of us so that we make sure that we're responding thoroughly. Okay, we can go to the next slide and kind of get back into the CPT side of the equation. So at Westcliff University, all of our graduate programs, our master's and doctorate level programs, do allow CPT from the start of their program. Now, I saw one of the questions in the chat, and I know that we're going to get to that. There's not necessarily a requirement that a student is a transfer F1 student in order to be eligible for this. Now, practically speaking, we don't see too many students that come to the US from their home country with a job offer in hand. But if you're able to do that, I mean, all the power to you. We'll go ahead and process that CPT application. And that's something that's also available on our forms website. We want to make it readily available. And, Doris will tell you, Doris is one of our admissions advisors, this is something that's given the students during the admissions process too. So as you're going through and getting that admission and, going through the process of preparing to start at Westcliff, you're able to get that application in. Now, one other thing that people want to know is what are the most common reasons for an application to get delayed? Because these also take 7 to 10 business days generally to process. And that's assuming that we have a complete application. Now, sometimes what happens is students will submit an application that's incomplete. And when I say an incomplete application, what that could mean is it's missing the company offer letter. Or maybe in the spot where it said, the company address, you said 1234 Main Street, but you didn't tell us what city, state, and zip code it is. And we get that, right? We get like addresses like 123 56th Street. It's like, okay, every major city in the country has a 56th Street. Like, I can't guess for you. Like I'm gonna need to reach back out to you and get confirmation. Then obviously that adds some time to it. So please make sure when you fill out those applications that you do take your time and go through and answer all of those questions fully and completely. Even if they might seem redundant, I'll give you an example of, everything in there, believe me, I am all about being lean and being efficient. So every single question in there is in there for a reason. Some of them are exactly what USCIS, or sorry, SEVIS requires us to enter into the it's information that we are required to enter into SEVIS when we're processing your work authorization. So things like the start date and the address and the company name. That's another one. People will submit their application and they'll say, "Oh, I work for Gillette," and so or Qualcomm. That this happened a lot. oh, I work for Qualcomm. Okay, great. We issue you an I-20, it says Qualcomm. And then it's, oh, well, can you put Qualcomm, comma, Incorporated? Well, if you wanted that, that's where we say, like we have it on the application, please enter your company name exactly how you wish it to be on the I-20. And then sometimes there's a discrepancy. People abbreviate the company name and then get upset when it's abbreviated on the I-20. We need it exactly how you want it to appear, and that'll smoothen things out. But back to questions that appear redundant but have a purpose. One of the two consecutive questions that we have are you working part-time or full-time? Followed by how many hours per week are you working? And it could, it's easy to say, well, I just told you I'm working full-time, so of course I'm working 40 hours a week. But sometimes we have students who, say that they're working part-time and then say 40 hours or maybe 25 hours. But, according to USCIS regulations, 25 hours is considered full-time for international students. So that gives us the opportunity to reach out and make that correction, reach out to students right away and have that conversation and say, look, you can work 25 hours per week, but we're going to need to register as full-time, or you could talk to your employer and keep it, at part-time, but it needs to be max 20 hours per week. And that way we save some of those RFEs on the back end because we ensure full compliance on the front end. So okay, we can go ahead to the next slide, please, Alice. So another question that comes up is, what's the employer role in CPT? What are they required to do? Because when hiring international students, employers automatically go to, oh, I'm gonna have to sponsor you, I'm gonna have to, pay an application fee, all these different things. And that might be true for the H-1B, but it's not true at the CPT level. So on the front end, when applying for CPT, we do need the company to complete to issue an offer letter, number one. If you are already working with the company, like say you're on OPT with, you graduated from a US school, you're on OPT, and now you're starting with us. Instead of the offer letter, we just need a letter from the HR department, just confirming that you're still employed, confirming that this is your job title, these are your hours per week, that information. So we need that letter, and then we need them to sign the cooperative agreement form. And the cooperative agreement form, people kind of freak out over this. It's really not that big of a deal. All the cooperative agreement form is it's a form that shows that the university is going to give the student work authorization. The student is going to maintain their status as a student while also working for the company. And the company understands that this is a student working through work authorization through the university. It is something that we do get asked for at the RFE level. So sometimes students, I really wanted a job and I wasn't going to question the employer and I wasn't going to do anything that I thought would make them mad or make them rethink issue me the job offer. But that cooperative agreement is required for H-1B, for green cards. I don't have an exact number, but more RFEs than not do ask for a copy of the cooperative agreement. So you really are doing yourself a benefit also by getting that on the front end. Um, we also ask that companies, understand it's going to be 7 to 10 business days for processing, which again, if you think about it in terms of about 2 calendar weeks, that's very normal processing time or very normal lag time for somebody to start at a company. If I was to leave, if I was to get a job with another school tomorrow, and I'm not, don't freak out, but but if I was, and they would say, "What's your earliest available start date?" I would say, well, I need to give my current employer 2 weeks. That's just standard operating process in the US. It's considered etiquette for an employee to give their company 2 weeks. So most companies understand that, from the time that they issue an offer letter, they're going to need to wait 2 weeks anyways for that person to start. So don't worry, that's in line with the company's expectations anyways. Um, and then the last point that we have here, we ask employers to remember that you are here on a student visa, and work obviously is very important. Everybody needs to pay the bills. We all get it. but the reason that you're here in the US is to be a student and to study. So we ask the employers be mindful of that and not ask you to choose between work and school, right? Like they need to understand, like if you have class on Wednesdays, you can't be asked to work late Wednesdays because you need to uphold the requirements of your visa, and that's going to come in to help you out. Again, on the back end, when you get that RFE, because sometimes they ask for attendance reports, they ask for evidence of physical presence, and because you were attending class all the time, we'll be able to provide you evidence for that. And I think that covers this slide, Alice. Did we have anything else to cover in this regard? Oh, yes, CPT approvals. So this is something that we're very excited about. We recently moved to approving CPT for 12-month periods. So when you start with us, if you were to start with us in January, our start date is January 6th, 2025. You would then get CPT authorized through January 4th, 2026. So it's awesome that you and the employer both have that long-term security that you're going to have work authorization for such an extended period. Obviously, you can renew after that if you choose. Now, Rima talked about OPT. Very important to remember that if you want to maintain your OPT eligibility, you cannot work more than 1 year of full-time CPT. You can do as much part-time as you want, but you can't do more than 1 year of full-time CPT. But some students are okay with that. I use the example of students in the doctorate program because, yeah, it might be great to have 1 year after my doctorate program to work in the US on OPT, but my doctorate program is going to be 4 or 5 years. So maybe I'm like, well, I'll do full-time CPT for 4 to 5 years during my program, and then I'll get to work longer than if I would have waited and done 1 year at the back end. That's totally fine. That's a decision that each individual student needs to make based on their situation and what's best for them and their family individually. Um, but so that's the process of applying for CPT. You can do that at the beginning of your program or at any given session date. And like just real quick overview, every semester is broken up into 2 sessions. So we have 6 different start dates throughout the year. They're generally January, March, May, July, August, and October. And we are able to, be flexible with the start dates for students that have begun with us. I'm getting into the weeds a little bit here. Go ahead, start with us. We can explain that to you further. Admissions advisors can explain that with you further. But another question that comes up is, to what extent can I be approved, or how many employers can I be approved by? And we can approve up to 2 employers, a maximum of one being full-time. So you could have one part-time employer, you could have one full-time employer, or you could have 2 part-time employers, or you could have one full-time and one part-time. All of those are okay. We draw the line at 2 full-time employers because, again, that starts to get into like a very red flag area about like, are you really here on a student visa if you're working 2 full-time positions? But we can authorize the 2 positions if there's one full-time and one part-time. And I know it was on Rima's slide earlier, but here we have it again. USCIS defines part-time for international students as 20 hours per week or less, and full-time is 21 hours per week or more. So sometimes students will ask us, well, I have one full-time employer, but they really want me to work. Can I work 50 hours a week? Can I work 55? Can I work 60? And all the regulations say is that full-time is 21 hours per week or more. So if you want to get on an Elon Musk schedule and work 80, 90 hours per week, as long as you're getting off early on Wednesdays or whatever day it is, to go to class, then all the power to you. But the CPT approval process is really set up in a way to be beneficial to students and their companies. And then once you are approved, we send you the I-20 digitally, so you have that copy, you have it instantly, you have it in your records, and then you can go ahead and forward it to your employer right away.
All right, thank you, Josh. Just a reminder, our webinar is at 45 minutes, so we maybe have 5 minutes left. Are we all okay with extending the time to maybe 10 more minutes? So we have enough time for the Q&A.
Not a problem here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And please keep going.
Well, this was the previous slide. We already went over this one.
Sorry about this.
No worries.
Got it. And here we are.
Right on cue.
All right, thank you so much, Josh. Let me share screen our Q&A, and thank you so much, you and Remat, for the amazing information session. Let me check on the questions we have. Give me one moment. All right, here we go. Are we able to see the screen?
We see your taskbar.
Let me stop it again and try again. All right, how about now?
There we go. Yes.
Okay, fabulous. So our first question, let me adjust my screen a little bit. All right. So for CPT programs, can student apply like a regular course back in their country or have to apply only as a transfer student?
Yeah,
Um,
so I touched on this. I mean, you can apply back in your home country. We don't see it very often, just practically because not a lot of U.S. companies hire people before they get to the U.S. But if you were able to do that, then we could process that for you.
Yeah, also something I would tell my students that try not to enter the country with your CPD authorized on your I-20 if you have never entered the country before. They may question your intention since you're going to be on F1. Just a tip right there. So next question would be, would the 3-day residency per semester format meet F1 requirements for international students? I think that's for you, Josh.
Yeah, so we tie the 3-day residency to our accrediting body, which is WASC. And without getting too much into the weeds, like there's an hours calculation about, a certain percentage of the class hours need to be on site in order for it to be designated an on-ground class according to our accrediting body. And the weekend format does meet those requirements.
Got it. Thank you. And next question would be, can one apply CPT course without having F1 visa and later apply for F1 visa?
Um, a job offer is required in order to request to add the internship course. Yeah.
Yeah, so this person kind of needs to have a valid F1 status, right? At least. I mean, some people may have their F1 visa, the physical copy of visa, out of date, but their status is still valid and they are enrolled at Westcliff, and with the offer, they can still apply for CPT. But always keep in mind that CPT is a benefit that comes with your F1 status. Is that correct, Josh?
Right. It's tied to being in the US as an international student and having CPT. So it won't really be applicable if that wasn't your situation.
Got it. And next question we have is, are you allowed to request CPT work authorization for any date after your start the program? I'm thinking this person is asking for CPT application deadlines, right?
Yeah, so we have done our best to minimize the amount of time when students are not able to apply for CPT. So we allow CPT applications up until the add drop deadline, which is the end of week 1. It's not something where we require you to apply a month before class starts or 2 weeks before class starts. We ask students too if they know they're going to be working, so we can get those students their approvals ahead of time. But if you get that job offer on Friday of week 1 and you get your application in, we can still process that for you. And then there is a bit of a gap period. But then what we're able to do is, if you then get a different job offer, you can apply as early as 30 days before you can apply to start your employment as early as 30 days before the start of the next session. So I'll give you some dates. So January 6th is the start of the spring semester. So you can apply for CPT as early as or as late as January 10th. And then the spring four starts on March 3rd, I believe. So you could start as early as February 3rd. So for those 3 weeks in between, I might be off by a couple days, but hopefully you get my point. So for those 3 weeks from January 10th to February 3rd, we won't be able to start CPT. But again, at that point, it's only 3 weeks, and most employers in the U.S. are used to waiting 2 weeks for a candidate to be able to start anyways. So it's generally not a big deal for for you to go through the application process and say, oh, well, the earliest I can start is March 3rd. And then on the other hand, if you are applying like on January 2nd, January 3rd, like you're going in for an interview, you can use that to your advantage and say, hey, you know what? I'm very sorry, but I do need an answer by this Friday if you want me to start with you earlier. And sometimes students can use that for their advantage and get that job offer a little earlier.
Got it. Thank you, Josh. I think we have many questions surrounding CPT and OPT coming up. So next will be is CPT 365 days max. Anything after those 1 year basically will avoid OPT?
That's correct. Once you work 12 months of full-time CPT, you lose your OPT eligibility. And that's a USCIS requirement, and that one's very strict.
Got it. I think it's more of an option for some people. They may just abandon their OPT because they have an amazing offer, full-time offer in front of them. So they can
Hey,
take.
if Amazon wants to pay you 6 figures for you to go work there, like by all means, go work there for 3 years.
Oh,
Yeah, like that's your choice.
yeah, some people may abandon their OPT in this case. So, basically, if you want, you can use your full-time CPT for more than a year, but that will be up to whether you still want your OPT or not. And for STEM
Correct.
programs, those OPT are for 3 years, up to 3 years. So, next question for the master's program, how long is the maximum CPT duration?
The CPT maximum duration is always the length of your program. So our master's students master's programs are generally 2 years. Maybe you take a semester of annual vacation, and we can approve your CPT through the annual vacation also. So for most of our master's program students, the maximum would be 2 years and 4 months.
Got it. Thank you. I think next question may be for Rima. How about credit exemptions during CPT? Rima, do you have any idea of what credit exemptions are?
I will let Doris take that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure exactly the student is asking, but to be eligible for CPT, you will have to be a full-time F1 student first. So for full-time students, the standards are you have to take one course per session. So that will be 3 credits per session.
And there are 2 sessions for each semester,
That's
right?
correct. And the students will have to take 6 credits per semester.
Got it. So 1 course at a time, but total 2 courses need to be finished per semester.
Yes, and for that CPT, and you will have to take an online course. Remember that CPT has to go with the accompanying online course that will worth half credits per session, 1 credit per semester.
And that again, it does benefit you because like when you're at the conclusion of your program and you're applying for H-1B and you get that RFE that asks you why were you able to work for 2 years during your program, we're able to show that the practical training is tied to an internship course and you have that internship course in your transcript every semester, and it really does work to your benefit.
Got it. Thank you both so much for answering the question. I think next one is more for Rima and Doris. So this person read through the class requirement in the program. Is there any way they can switch out 2/3 classes of them? I think they're thinking about changing the curriculum.
So if they do not change any concentration or they do not want to change any programs, they just want to change the courses, it's possible, but I'm not sure if 2/3 are possible. They will have to submit the request in advance. And then if we have opening availability upon the time they approve it, then they can switch the course. So it's not guaranteed that they can definitely switch to third course. So it will really up to the courses we have available for that session.
Thank you. Thank you, Doris. I mean, it's truly ambitious that this person wants to switch out to third classes. I mean, if to that extent, maybe consider another program. And if you want to check which program would be a good fit for you, you can scan the QR code and talk to one of our consultants. So next coming up, let's say this person is in MBA, can they do CPT full-time for 8 months for 1 year, switch to part-time for 4 months, and then do the exact same for the next year? I think
I'm
that's
so glad you asked this because this is a very common misconception. So the 12 months of full-time CPT is cumulative over your entire program. So if you do 6 months in year one and 7 months in year two, you add those up, that's more than 12 months. Now, what you can do is you can do 11 months of full-time CPT and then switch and do the remaining 13 months of your program part-time. We do see students do that a lot where they'll mix and match their full-time and their part-time. But the 12 months, it doesn't reset every year. It's your entire program added together.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh. I get this question and assumption a lot during our work, a lot, really.
Yes, very
And
common one.
and just remember one thing, that rule doesn't clock back after 1 year. It applies throughout your whole program.
Yeah,
So
it only resets. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Alice, but it only resets when you go up a program level. So we do have some students who did a master's, let's say a master's in statistics. I don't know why you would ever do that to yourself, but let's say you did. And then you do your 12 months of OPT, and then you come to us for a master's in an MBA. You've already used your OPT at the master's level. There's nothing stopping you from doing 2 years of full-time CPT. But then when you go up to the doctorate level, now everything resets and now you have your OPT eligibility again, if you choose to keep it.
yep, so there are many options right there, and just make sure if you have any question, talk to us, check with DSO if you're enrolled. And what if this person chooses to go down one level? For example, they have a PhD, they took their PhDs, and then they went back to masters. They've never done a master alone before. Are they still eligible for another OPT in this case?
Not for OPT. OPT is only eligible as you increase as you go up in program levels.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Josh. And moving on to next question, CPT and master course has to be relevant or otherwise also fine, because sometimes bachelor's degree is a little different. I'm thinking this person is trying to say that, so what if the job is not that relevant to the master program?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things that we do at Westcliff is we allow students to explain to us how the position's related to their program of study. So let's say let's keep it in MBA, for example. But maybe the person applying for CPT is a software developer. Now, just looking at the job title, it maybe we say, oh, well, software developer, maybe they would get CPT for like MSIT or computer science, maybe not for MBA, but we allow students to explain how it's related to their program of study. So then that software developer explains, oh, I reduce friction at the point of sales, or my job is to increase reinforcements to keep people on the app longer so they spend more money and tie it back to revenue. And if you're able to make that explanation, then we can approve it. So yes, the CPT does have to be related to your program of study, but we give students the opportunity to explain to us how those positions do that.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. So that's basically think about the nature, not nature of your working, but every aspect of your job and the nature of your program. For example, MBA, if any of your job responsibility is related to the business operation or any idea about the business itself, then that's also considered relevant. So our last question for today's Q&A session. any CPT issuing quota for university. I'm thinking this person is asking about CPT approval rate in Westcliff.
We don't have a quota. We don't have a maximum. It's not like we say, oh, we're only going to approve 500 people for CPT and then we're going to stop. That is why we ask students that know they're doing CPT to apply early, so we know how many internship courses to build. But we don't have a cap on it. And in terms of approval percentage, it's quite high, and that's partly Rima and Doris and their teams explain this, like going through the admissions process and finding great candidates, and again the ability to explain how the positions are related to the program of study. So yeah, like if you're interested and you think it fits to one of our programs, come to us, pitch it, and there's a great chance that we'll be able to approve it.
Got it. Thank you so much, Josh, and thank you all so much. And that's the end of our Q&A today. If you still have any questions left, everyone here as participants, scan the QR code and book a free consultation with us. You can also talk to us on email, WhatsApp, any way you prefer. And also your recording of today's webinar will be sent to your email you used at registration. So rest assured, if you didn't catch up at the beginning or you missed some part, and you will be supported very well throughout the process. Let me stop share. And thank you all again so much for being here today, Doris, Rima, and Josh, and also Curtis and Yui. Thank you so much for the support today. And I'll see you all next time. Have a good night.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.